For this week's popular press video article, I decided to do my video on understanding and developing organizational culture. So the scope of this video includes going from what an organizational culture is to talking about why it's important, how it's built, how it's maintained, what role does HR play, and how certain aspects help develop an organizational culture. So let's start by what is an organizational culture. So at its deepest level, our organization culture is based on values derived from basic assumptions about human nature. So basic assumptions leading to belief about how employees, customers, and suppliers should interact and how they should be managed. 2, the organization's relationship to its environment. So this is how does an organization define its business and its constituencies. 3, appropriate emotions. So which emotions should people be encouraged to express and which ones should be suppressed. And 4, effectiveness. So how effective is the organizational culture? Right? What metrics should show whether the organization and its individual components are doing well. So most company cultures are not that different from one another. Even organizations in disparate industries such as manufacturing and healthcare tend to share common core values. See, culture is a nebulous concept and is often an undefined aspect of an organization. But organizational culture can manifest itself in a variety of ways, including leadership behavior, communication styles, internally distributed messages, and corporate celebrations. Some commonly used terms for describing cultures include aggressive, customer-focused, innovation, fun, ethical, technology-driven, and family-friendly. Now we're going to look at the importance of a strong culture. So, a strong culture can bring benefits such as enhanced trust and cooperation, fewer disagreements, and a more efficient decision making. Along with that, it creates a competitive advantage and it creates its beliefs and values that are widely shared and firmly upheld. So this culture provides an informal control mechanism, a strong sense of identification with the organization, and shared understanding among employees about what is important. Now, if this is not maintained, an ineffective culture can really bring down an organization and its leadership. And this leads to disengaged employees, high turnovers, poor customer relationships, and overall just lower profits for an organization. So next, we're going to talk about what factors shape an organization structure. So organizational leaders often speak about the unusual nature of their companies and seeing their domain as a special place to work. So here they generally talk about these 6 different areas. So let's start by looking at the values. So at heart of any organization culture are commonly shared values. None in the right or wrong, but organizations need to decide which values will they emphasize, right? If they're going to be outcome-oriented, if they're going to be people-oriented, team-oriented, have stability, innovation, or, have aggressiveness, means stimulating a fiercely competitive spirit. 2, the degree of hierarchy. So, to what extent will the organization value traditional channel of authority? 3, the degree of urgency. So how quickly will the organization want or need to drive decision making and innovation? 4, are they going to be people-oriented or task-oriented, right? So generally, organizations get to choose their people or task orientation, but others may have to fit their orientation based on the nature of their industry or just historical issues or operational processes. Next is functional orientation. So every organization put an emphasis on certain functional areas. For example, an innovative organization known for its research and development may have its core of functional orientation toward R&D. Next, organization subculture. So organizational subculture can be organization may have a mixed subcultures in addition to a dominant culture, and it's totally fine because these group of individuals have their own rituals and their own traditional, and although they're not shared by the rest of the organization, but they can deepen and underscore the organization's core values. Next, we're going to talk about how to create and maintain this organizational structure. Right? So an organization culture tends to emerge over time, shaped by the organization's leadership and by actions and values perceived to have contributed to earlier success. An organization's customs, traditions, and ritual behavioral norms, symbols, and general way of doing things are the visible manifestation of their cultures. Now, founders typically have a significant impact on the organization's early culture, but over time, behavior norms develop that are consistent with the organization's values. But although culture emerges naturally, in most organizations, strong culture often begins with a process called value blueprinting, which involves a candid conversation with leaders from across the organization. So, how do we sustain this culture, right? So, the management of organizations starts with identifying companies' organizational cultural traits, or called artifacts. So these artifacts are core business activities, process, and philosophies that characterize how an organization does business day to day. Now, identifying these traits and assessing their importance in light of current business objective is a way to start managing culture. And 3 broad concepts help identify these traits specific to culture. 1, social culture, refers to group members' roles and responsibility. Material culture, so this means what individuals are creating or how individuals interact with each other. Or ideological culture, so this is tied to groups' values, beliefs, and ideals. So these are the things that people view as fundamentals. Now, leaders and HR professionals within an organization should approach culture management by initially gaining understanding of the common traits found in business. Now, let's talk about how HR plays a role in developing these cultures. So, HR is sort of seen as a caretaker when it comes to developing this culture. They help by implementing practices within an organization that helps in development of the culture. So one is creating hiring practices where they help ensure that individuals that are joining the company align well with organization's value and organization's culture. 2, they create onboarding program that teaches newcomers the employer's value system, norms, and desired organizational behavior. 3, they create reward and recognition programs, which are key mechanisms that can be used to motivate employees to act in accordance with the culture. 4, performance management program. So these can greatly affect corporate culture by clearly outlining what is expected from employees, as well as by providing feedback. So next, we're going to talk about what are the other pieces, right, that really play a role. So one is communication. One, you want to make sure you're having clear communication to all employees so there are no disconnects regarding what is expected from everyone. This is because conflicting messages regarding the culture may create distrust and cynicism, which can prompt or help employees justify actions such as embezzlement. 2, matrix. So this is related to developing a cultural assessment instrument and implementing it within the organization to collect feedback on how the culture is embedded within an organization. So this is a great tool for leaders and HR professionals to eliminate any inconsistencies within an organization. 4, legal. So this is to ensure that there's no discrimination within the hiring process. Along with that, to ensure that there is no discrimination when it comes to promotion, because cultures that are highly paternalistic or male-oriented may tend to perpetuate disparities in promotions and compensations and other terms of employment, and these disparities may violate anti-discrimination laws. Next is global issues. So researchers have suggested that national culture has greater effect on employees than the culture of their organization. So organizations want to ensure that management and HR practices are appropriate and that they will be effective in operations in the countries where they conduct business, because not meeting those expectations may doom the global organization's chance for success in a particular country. So with that, we're going to wrap up today's video. Here are the link to the article as well as the images that I've acquired from Google Images. That brings us to end of the presentation. Thank you for watching my video.